Hey, let's talk about the Meepo V3 Max. So this is essentially Meepo's flagship electric skateboard that was just released this year. So I just got back from testing the sport, from top speed, acceleration, upslope to carving. What amazed me the most is the bushing choices. Usually Meepo boards, what I do immediately once I get them is I swap the bushings because they're usually like concrete. They definitely changed the formula here. The color is slightly different, and this formula feels like what I can describe as Riptide 95A bushings. So a little bit still on the stiffer side, but it carves pretty well. The rebound as well, it gives you support. There's not a lot of that wobble. So I think Meepo has quietly kind of upped their bushings game, which is really important here. The second part are the wheels. These wheels are 800 watts each. So both wheels will give you 1600 watts of power. No beginner board in 2025 has 800 watt motors. And you can feel it too. This is a lot more powerful than any other beginner board that I've tried. Does it go into the mid-range? Not quite. So if you're comparing this to like a Meepo Envy, Meepo Flow, it's still not quite as fast as those two boards, but it's getting there. It's definitely faster than like a traditional beginner board that you get at $400 to $500 in Meepo's lineup and outside of Meepo's lineup. So this is incredibly good. And also Meepo bumped up the amps on the ESC too. Traditionally you get 22 amps on Meepo's boards. Now you get 24 amps. Using the Ring FOC ESC. So yeah, this board is super good now. And plus the remote is programmable, so you can program your acceleration profile, your top speed profile, your braking profile. You can also choose to make it like a Tesla, where as soon as you let go of the throttle, a certain level of electronic braking engages by itself. So I think that's pretty cool. Usually I don't kind of use that, but I think to some people it might be useful. They use high quality batteries as well. These are not Samsung batteries, but this is the best Chinese battery manufacturer in China right now. So if you get anything from, say, DJI, from Sauron, these batteries will be made by this manufacturer, which is called Lishan. So they're pretty darn high quality. And these trucks are 45-degree trucks. These trucks are 45-degree 7.5 reverse Kempin trucks. They carve extremely well, but if you go up to a really high speed, it does remain pretty stable. This deck is made out of 8-ply maple, 1-ply bamboo. It's flexible, but I would say it leans more towards it's flexible, but it leans towards the stable side of things. It dampens and absorbs, micro vibrations, but if you go over a large pothole, you'll still feel it. Everything is compartmentalized, pretty much a big Lego piece. If any of these parts becomes broken, you can just buy a new one. Just for this thing, six screws, just drill it out and then slap a new box on. ESC broken, 4 screws, drill 4 screws, take out the screws and put on a new ESC. These wheels as well, there's like 6 screws in the back. Unscrew them, you can take the whole thing off. So everything about this board is built like a giant piece of Lego. If something breaks, you can swap it out immediately. Another thing is Meepo today still manufactured parts for their boards from 8 years ago, and to a lot of the manufacturers here, they're not even like around that long, and many of them have discontinued parts for boards that were existing in their lineup for that was here 2 to 3 years ago. So it's so good to see Meepo kind of support their products like 8 years into production, into the making. So yeah, this board is super powerful. 800 watts, supported by 24 amps of power. Yeah, it's quite a bit. And when you take off, I would say like when you take off from 0, you don't feel that much, but once it kicks into like 5-10 miles per hour, that's where the real torque comes in, and it just keeps going. By the time I reached the end of the parking lot during my speed test, I still felt it could go a little bit faster, and yeah, so it keeps going. And the range, I feel like the range is okay. It gets me roughly 15 miles or so. I'm 200 pounds with all my equipment on, so that's pretty admirable for 15 miles on an entry-level skateboard for a heavier person like me. And also it comes with free bash guards too. 2 free bash guards, one in the front, one in the back. The braking is pretty darn good too. It's a little bit on the softer side. I feel like it rolls forward for 1 to 2 feet too long on the strongest braking, but I feel like this is extremely good for beginners because once you lose traction, you pretty much fall. So it's very important to keep the traction, and I think the braking does that. It does that very well, and I think the braking kind of is tuned very well for beginners, and it's not bad for intermediates. I just think that it rolls forward 1 to 2 feet longer, which is just understand the characteristics of this board and you'll be fine. Again, this board looks ultra premium. Nothing about this board, nothing about this wheel, nothing about this electric skateboard looks cheap. When you take it out of the box, you're like, oh shit, this looks like the $1,000 boosted board that was from before. Okay, got a World War II dive bomber right there. Okay, yeah. And oh yeah, these sleeves, so traditionally every single these skateboards use metal sleeves, and these metal sleeves are extremely difficult to take off, but now they changed it to plastic, so it's supposed to be just like kind of slide on, slide off if you need to change the wheel sleeves. So changing the wheels is going to be super easy for you too. The rear wheel is 94 millimeters in diameter, and the front wheel is 90 millimeters in diameter. So the front wheel is just ever so slightly smaller and also narrower, while the rear wheel is bigger, a little bit firmer, and a little bit wider. So the rear wheel would give you kind of that grip you need, especially when this is kind of the motor wheel. You need that grip, and then the front wheel is a little bit narrower. It gives you lighter, it gives you more damping, and then it gives you more agility, so you can carve very well. So this board is very well thought out. Oh yeah, also the ESC contains a hidden feature that other boards don't have. Is that this ESC has a backup system for Hall sensor failures. So a lot of these boards have Hall sensor. A lot of these molders. Another dive bomber. Why are there so many goddamn dive bombers? Okay, so a lot of these wheels, a lot of these molders have Hall sensors in them. These Hall sensors would sense the electro. I'm not super technical, but I do know that these Hall sensors kind of senses your, god damn it. There's so many, oh yeah, there's an airport around here for small airplanes, so there's just a constant amount of these propeller airplanes out there. But anyway, so yeah, the Hall sensors, these motors all contain Hall sensors, and the Hall sensors detect how fast the electromagnetic pulses, or kind of the electricity, how fast the wheel is spinning based on the electricity. So once that fails, if it fails, when the Hall sensors fail, electric skateboards would often go crazy, shut off on themselves, or emergency brake, or just behave erratically, and that often leads to throwing the rider off. But Meepo has built a fail-safe into the system that once it detects the Hall sensor is not responding, it kicks into another mode. It kicks into a different protocol that rides the board without the Hall sensor, seamlessly transitioned. So if you're riding and your Hall sensor fails, you'll just hear that your motor gets a little bit louder, but you will never fall off the skateboard because it starts to behave erratically because of the Hall sensor failure. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying this board. I would say if I'm buying with my own money in 2025, and I need to pick out the best dollar to value ratio for an entry-level electric skateboard, it is the Meepo V3 Max. It is the Meepo V3 Max, like hands down, compared to any other board on the market today. So yeah. Oh yeah. One other thing I want to talk about is the deck. The deck is the standard kind of longboard deck that you can see here. It's relatively flat, but it flares up around the edges just ever so slightly, so that you can kind of still get locked in quite well, but never to the point where it starts to hurt your feet. And of course, it has a handlebar, very, very handy for taking this into like a school, like a supermarket, to use this as last mile transportation. Yep. So love this board. Again, in 2025, you need to get one skateboard. This is it. This is my recommendation so far.